I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't always have to be the bigger person. People love telling you to take the high road until they're the ones who have to do it. Now, obviously, you're always going to get this advice because it's the mature thing to do, and a decent amount of the time it is, but there's just problems with treating this like it's the right answer every single time. Now, the problem isn't the idea itself. I actually agree mostly with the idea. The problem is that people usually preach it way more than they practice it. And it always feels like the same people get told to keep being understanding and to keep pushing stuff under the rug. And this has just been something that has always bothered me, especially in my family. For example, when I was like 16, I got into an argument with my grandma about my uncle. Now, long story short, my uncle called somebody I care about a bad word. He called him a bitch. And I told my grandma, I looked her right in the eyes, I said, when I see him, I'm gonna have some choice words for him. Because he did something, very disrespectful. And she got real mad at me when I said this, and she told me that I need to take it easy on him because he didn't know any better. Huh? And she's not telling me this because it's in my best interest. She's telling me this because I'm me. And she knows it would be more realistic to expect me to handle the disrespect because I'm more level-headed than him. And on another note, that's the real problem with growing up as one of the more emotionally mature people in a family, even as a kid. But I mean, that's a topic for a whole nother video. What really threw me off about this wasn't the argument itself. It was just the logic behind it. Because for one, this guy is 3 times my age. Like, I'm a teenager. I just started washing my ass like 3 years ago. I still stutter when I order food from a restaurant. Why am I the one that's expected to adjust for this grown-ass man's behavior? Why is the burden of maturity always put on the same people? And that's when I really had this realization that it's easy for people to tell you to take the high road and to be the bigger person when they're not the one dealing with the frustration. And we can be honest. For the most part, when family tells you to be the bigger person, they really just mean don't make this an uncomfortable situation for all of us. A lot of the time, taking the high road just means being the one who has to carry the tension quietly. And that's not okay. And obviously, this is a very nuanced topic. I would never come on here and say that being the bigger person is bad. Because taking the high road is definitely something that can bring you a lot of peace. And it's something I've utilized plenty of times. But it only really means something when it's a choice. If it's just expected of you every time, it feels less like maturity and more like an obligation put on you by other people. And I know a lot of people have had moments like this. And one piece of advice I have to give you is you have to stop compromising on certain things just to make people happy. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of coming on here and being all preachy, but I do like to share some stuff just in case it'll help somebody. If it doesn't, then that's okay. But a little checklist I like to run down before I react to any disrespect or conflict that comes my way is the first question I ask, am I reacting or am I responding? Because if you're emotional, you're going to react in very irrational ways, obviously. So you just want to make sure you think about how you're going to handle situations before you act. The next question is, will this matter later? Most things will never matter later. And it really only feels like a big deal because it just happened. And it's okay. You're allowed to be upset when things just happened. You just got to weigh the options. Is it worth it to confront them? Or is this so irrelevant that it won't even matter in 20, 30 minutes? And then the last question is this my ego? Or is this my ego telling me to act? Or is it coming from a place of self-respect? Because there's a difference between wanting to prove something and actually protecting your self-respect. And these questions I ask myself have helped me a lot in the past because sometimes you just can't rely on other people's advice. even though deep down they probably think they have your best interests in their mind. So I don't know. Moral of the story, moral of the video. Please stop letting people disrespect you just because you want to be the bigger person. Because sometimes it's better to respond. I guess you could say taking the high road only feels good when you're the one driving the car. Alright, that was corny. Alright, y'all. See. Also, this background gameplay, it was a tough watch. I'm looking at it as I'm editing it. Whew. Yeah, but anyways, hope y'all have a good one. Alright, y'all.